With the recent surge in Fallout popularity and interest due to the success of Amazon's Fallout series, there has been a desire for character challenge runs featuring characters from the show here on YouTube. There are plenty of runs featuring Lucy McLean and the Ghoul, two of the show's primary protagonists, but none featuring poor Maximus, the third protagonist. Today, however, that all changes, as I take up the mantle and ask the question, can you beat Fallout 4 as Maximus? Before we begin though, I should lay out some rules that I will follow throughout the entire playthrough. Firstly, I can only use weapons Maximus is shown to be using in the show. These include the 10mm pistol Lucy primarily wields, and the classic 10mm pistol that is obtainable through the Tunnel Snakes Rule Creation Club add-on. I can also only wear armor and apparel he is shown to be wearing in the show, such as his red and black Brotherhood Knight uniform, as well as his suit of T60 power armor. But until I obtain a set of my own, and to maintain my sanity, I will be allowing myself to use the set of T45 power armor that can be found on top of the Museum of Freedom and Concord. Lastly, I must be playing without a companion at all times. Even though Maximus spends most of his time in the show with someone else, he does not have a definitive companion, unlike Lucy and the Ghoul. I should also note that I am playing with a few basic mods installed, and I will be sure to include links to those mods in the description of this video. With the word spaghetti out of the way, let's get started. Our journey begins in Vault 111, where we gather our first weapon, the 10mm pistol, which we use to exterminate the local population of rad roaches. We then obtain the iconic Pip-Boy 3000 Mark IV that will serve as the hub for our inventory and journal, allowing us to view our objectives and loot. With it, we can utilize the Cheat Terminal mod to boost up our special stats to what Bethesda has revealed to be the official stats Maximus has in the show, as Fallout 4 does not have enough special points to allocate at the start. And since I am playing on Xbox, the Cheat Terminal mod is the only way, without some grinding, for me to boost Maximus up to his official stats. Speaking of official stats, those stats are 7 Strength, 6 Perception, 6 Endurance, 5 Charisma, 4 Intelligence, 7 Agility, and 5 Luck. Temporarily taking on the position of Gatekeeper of Vault 111, we open the massive vault door, allowing us to gain access to the Commonwealth. As a great man once said, this is where the real game begins. Our first task is to loot anything and everything we come across on our way to Sanctuary, where, once we arrive, we kill some mutated bugs and scrap everything in sight. This will hopefully provide us with the materials we need throughout the playthrough. We then speak to Codsworth, a robotic butler who tells us that there are other people alive in Concord. He hopes that these people will help us find Sean, our so-called son. I'm not really sure what he is talking about here, as Maximus has no son, but whatever, we'll find Sean anyway. Heading toward Concord, we unalive some raiders who are threatening a colonial-dressed man who somehow survives a fall off the balcony he was shooting down from. This man wants our help stopping the raiders inside of the museum, and as Maximus is shown to have a tendency to help others who are in his path, we choose to help him. Inside, we kill every raider in sight, and agree to help the man and his group get out of the museum safely. Their plan is for me to power and enter a suit of inactive T45 power armor on the roof of the building, allowing me to rip the minigun off of the vertibird that is also on top of the building, and to demolish anything in my way. So, we do just that. Except instead of using the minigun, I pull out my trusty 10mm pistol. To try and conserve ammo, I attempted to get the Deathclaw to attack all of the remaining raiders. And let me just say, my dude went crazy. Just look at it toss this one raider as if they were a ragdoll. When all of the raiders were dead, it was just me and the Deathclaw remaining. Anyone who's played Fallout 4 before knows that this second story balcony is relatively safe from the Deathclaw's attacks. So I spent the majority of the fight up here, chipping away at the Deathclaw's health before jumping down to finish the job. With all remaining threats defeated, Preston and the gang were safe to head to Sanctuary, their new home. We then go on to help Sturgis make Sanctuary a fitting home for him and the rest of the gang for some quick and easy experience. With Preston and the gang safe, we can now advance toward Diamond City for the next step of the playthrough. On our way though, we stop by the Drumlin Diner, where we miraculously settle a problem between storekeeper Trudy and Kim Seller Wolfgang. Truthfully, I was planning on failing this speech check and making a joke on how Maximus oftentimes fails the charisma check, but as you will see throughout the video, this does not go to plan. Moving on, we receive a distress call that sends us to the Cambridge police station. There, we find Buzz Lightyear fighting off a horde of zombies. We stand back, letting Buzz do most of the work, and learn that he is a paladin in the Brotherhood of Steel, which is the faction we will be siding with in this playthrough. Buzz, who we learn is named Dance, wants us to help him tackle the local Arcject systems so he can acquire something called a deep range transmitter that will allow him to communicate with his superiors at base. So we do just that. Breezing through the pre-war facility with Dance's help, with the transmitter in his possession, Dance gifts us with the Righteous Authority laser rifle, a weapon we will definitely use and totally not sell for caps. He also invites us to officially join the Brotherhood of Steel, an offer which we gladly accept. Dance orders us to return to the police station, but seeing as doing so is not crucial for our mission at the moment, we disobey his orders, and instead head for Diamond City. There, we come across Piper, the local journalist, who is being withheld entrance to the city. So to help her and gain entrance ourselves, we pose as a merchant, thus entering the great green jewel of the Commonwealth. Inside, we stop by a local shopkeeping robot to purchase more 10mm ammo, as that Deathclaw fight left me with very little. With our ammo pouch looking slightly better, we head for the local detective agency, where we learn that Detective Valentine, the man who will help us locate Sean, is missing. His secretary, Ellie, asks us to rescue him from a place called Park Street Station, which is controlled by Skinny Malone and his gang. Before heading there though, we take a pit stop by a nearby unmarked subway station, so we can complete the Tunnel Snakes Rule Creation Club add-on, acquiring the classic 10mm pistol, as shown in the Fallout show. This weapon will serve as our one and only gun throughout the remainder of the playthrough. Now inside of Park Street Station, we take on Skinny Malone's Triggermen, who are proven to be made of glass as shown by how quickly they die. Realizing quickly that this challenge would be fairly easy on normal difficulty, I chose here to bump the difficulty all the way up to very hard, a decision that would hopefully keep things interesting. We continue through the subway and later vault until we come face to face with Nick Valentine, the detective we were sent to save. With Valentine's help, we aim to leave the vault, but before we can, we are stopped by Skinny Malone and his remaining crew. We learn that Darla, the young woman Valentine was hired to find, has been spending time with Malone, and in an attempt to save her life, we persuade her to leave Malone, a decision that causes Malone to spare our lives. Again, I'm not sure how Maximus was able to pass this charisma check. I guess his luck just keeps looking out for him. Back at Diamond City, we sit down with Nick so he can help us determine our next steps. One key detail that catches his attention is the description of the man who kidnapped Sean in the vault. Nick tells us that description lines up perfectly with a man named Kellogg, who owns a house right here in Diamond City. Again, with Nick's help, we wander up to Kellogg's house and attempt to pick the lock, a feat that would not be fruitful. So instead, we pickpocket the key from the mayor's pockets. Inside Kellogg's house, we press a hidden button under the desk, revealing a hidden room that houses beer and cigars. At an impasse, Nick suggests the help of one of his associates that would allow us to track Kellogg down, an associate which would later be revealed shortly thereafter to be a dog. We show the dog one of the cigars and attempts to catch Kellogg's trail, and he does catch one. But rather than follow the dog all the way to our destination, we utilize our intuition and head straight for Fort Hagen, the location that houses Kellogg. Inside, we are met by many Institute synths that prove to be as weak as they look. Making our way to the end of the dungeon, we come face to face with Mr. Cereal Brand himself. Mr. Cereal tells us that Sean is not there, that he is instead safe in the Institute. In our rage, we put him and his synths down, ending the corporate reign of Kellogg Cereal for good. On his corpse, we find multiple cybernetic adjustments, one of which will prove useful in the near future, and the password to his terminal. That proves the bad news. Sean is indeed in the Institute, and we need to get there. But before we do, we need to find out how to get there. But before we can continue, we are greeted by the entrance of the greater Brotherhood of Steel army and their massive airship, the Pridwin. With the arrival of the Pridwin, we can finally obtain my set of T-60 power armor that would complete Maximus's look. But before we do that, we first stop by Diamond City once more to tell Nick what we discovered. He suggests that Kellogg would know how to enter the Institute, and that with his knowledge we can also learn how to enter it. But he's dead. How are we going to learn anything we need? I'm glad you asked. Nick knows someone named Dr. Amari in Good Neighbor who specializes in memories, and with the help of one of Kellogg's cybernetic augments we found on his corpse, we can gain entry into his memories. But before we do that though, now is no better time than any to finally obtain our Knight's power armor. So along with Paladin Dance, we fly on a vertibird to the Pridwin, which upon arriving, we are swiftly promoted to the rank of Knight by Elder Maxim, giving us access to a full set of T-60 power armor. Our arrival aboard the Pridwin helped me reach level 12, and although our perks have not been crucial to this playthrough, I do want to point out that unanimously online, people have believed that Maximus would have the Idiot Savant perk. So here, I choose rank 2 of that perk, sealing it in as Maximus Cannon, at least in my eyes. We also acquire a Brotherhood of Steel uniform, as shown in the show, again completing the Maximus look. Finally entering our main set of power armor, we can continue our journey. So, Elder Maxim wants us to take over Fort Strong, this beautiful yellow cloud over here, that will provide the Brotherhood with bombs. Doing so involves us riding a vertibird and using said vertibird to kill the super mutants outside the base. The problem is I cannot for any reason use the vertibird's minigun to attack the super mutants, and without killing the super mutants, the vertibird will not land, at least in my experience. So I spend way too much time flying around in this vertibird until eventually it is damaged to the point of crashing into the ocean. You would think this would be the end of me, but no, I stand up after the crash like a champ, and whittle away at the super mutants' health until they are all dead. Inside, the mutants are no match, and once cleared, Dance tells us to return to the Pridwin to speak with the Elder. Elder Maxon tells us to continue our journey down in the Commonwealth, and to come to him with any helpful information that will get us closer to the Institute. Now we must head to Good Neighbor so we can get help from Dr. Amari in figuring out how to enter the Institute. When we arrive though, we are greeted by the town's mayor, stabbing a man to death on our behalf, and that's all I have to say about that. Inside the memory den where we can find Dr. Amari, she informs us and Valentine that she will have to plug both of us up to Kellogg's brain so we can gather the information we need. So we do just that, sitting down in a memory lounger before being transported inside of Kellogg's memories. I don't know about you, but I don't care to relive the memories of a murderer, so we speed through Kellogg's memories until we come across the memory we care about. This memory features Kellogg and a young boy we are led to believe is Sean in his home in Diamond City. In this memory, an Institute agent stops by Kellogg's place to inform him that he is to eliminate a rogue Institute scientist named Virgil, who is currently in the glowing sea. We also learned that the Institute uses teleportation to gain entry into the Institute. With the how learned for our entry into the Institute, we just need to learn a way to make it happen, and this is done by first finding Virgil. So we head straight for the glowing sea so we can speak to Virgil firsthand. There, we come across massively dangerous beasts, like these 3 rad scorpions that caused me to pull a Knight Titus and run away. Unfortunately for the residents of this crater, one of the rad scorpions followed me, but we made short work of it. Moving on from the crater, we make it to Virgil's cave, where inside, we are greeted by a not-so-friendly super mutant who turns out to be Virgil. Virgil tells us about Coursers, powerful synths who have chips inside of their heads that allow them to teleport in and out of the Institute at will. So, in exchange of a serum that will make him human again, Virgil tasks us with killing an Institute Courser so we can acquire its brain chip. Thankfully for us, we already know that the Courser is located at Green Tech Genetics, again thanks to our intuition, so we head straight there. Inside, gunners are defending themselves against the Courser, but they're no threat at all, so we mow straight through them, reaching the Courser and taking what we need from its corpse. Needing it to be decoded first, though, we head to Dr. Amari to see if she knows how to decode it. She does not, but she does know about a group calling themselves the Railroad, who can do just what we need. So we head for their headquarters, again, using intuition, and input the most secure password ever. With the wall out of the way, we greet the Railroad as any Brotherhood Knight would.
Who the hell are you?
Knight Titus of the Brotherhood of Steel, stand down or be cut down.
Inside of their headquarters, one of their members cracks the chip's code at the cost of us giving them the chip, but we still get the data we need. Telling Virgil the good news, he gives us the plans to a makeshift molecular relay that will allow us to teleport into the Institute. With a way inside, we inform Elder Maxon, who sends us to Proctor Ingram. With her help, we build and power the device, and on our way out, Ingram asks us to copy the Institute data onto a holotape, so they can learn crucial information that will help us in our fight. With that, we are teleported into the Institute, the biggest guarded secret in the Commonwealth. We immediately load that holotape up so we can gather the data we need, and we head further into the facility, where a voice with the name Father tempts us forward. At our destination, we find a child we believe is Sean, but he is clearly confused and scared as he calls for his father. Just then, an elderly man walks in, speaks a code that shuts down the child, and he informs us that he is the real Sean, and that he is our son. But we know Maximus has no son, so we do not fall for his tricks. Instead, we lie to him, saying we'll give them a chance, and continue on looking for someone Elder Maxon tasks us with finding. Inside of the Advanced Systems area of the Institute, we come across Dr. Lee, a former Brotherhood scientist who is needed for a special project that we will come across later. Dr. Lee is hesitant to return, so we have to do something for her first before she'll come along. Dr. Lee wants us to find evidence that the same Dr. Virgil we found in the glowing sea was set up as a traitor, and that requires us to go to his old FEV lab in the bioscience section of the Institute. As we were headed that way anyway, we go straight there. Inside, we find the evidence we need, as well as Virgil's cure, and we return to Dr. Lee to tell her the bad news that Virgil was indeed set up. This act leads to Dr. Lee trusting our word, and her returning to the Brotherhood of Steel. Mission accomplished. Now it is time to return to Proctor Ingram and give her the holotape with the important data on it. Hopefully, This will provide us with the information we need. Returning to the Elder, he thanks us for our job well done and sends us back to Ingram for the special project he mentioned previously. Ingram shows us a locked room that is storing the remains of Liberty Prime, a behemoth that fans of Fallout 3 will recognize. Prime is being rebuilt so he can help us in our fight against the Institute. And of course, Ingram wants our help rebuilding him. So we do just that, building actuators that will help him move. Ingram then tasks us with locating nukes that Prime can use in our fight. The problem is they are located in the glowing sea, but that is no problem for us, so we head straight there, making a stop by Virgil's to give him his cure, and then proceeding the rush through the facility and marking the nukes for pickup. Liberty Prime is almost battle ready, but before we can finish him, we are sent to the Elder for an important task. It turns out that a list of escaped synths was found on that holotape with the important data, and Dance is one of those synths. So Elder Maxon wants us to kill him, as any Brotherhood soldier should. Scribe Halen, a soldier under Dance at the police station, asks us to spare him, and she gives us his location at listening post Bravo, so we can hear him out. Once we get there, we are met by Dance, who tells us he needs to be the example, not the exception. And he tells us to kill him, but we don't, as he has become a good friend throughout this journey. He is shocked, but thanks us for giving him a chance, and we leave the bunker. But before we can safely get away, Elder Maxon stops us. He is obviously upset, and it seems like he might execute Dance anyway. But by some miracle, we are able to persuade him that Dance deserves to live. And with that, Dance is spared. But Dance is no longer important for our journey, so we leave him be, heading back to the Pridwin, where we receive orders from its captain to eliminate the railroad, which we do with ease, and we also reprogram Pam to head for the airship. With the railroad out of the way, we can finally enter our final step into stopping the Institute. Our next task is to obtain a powerful energy source that will allow Liberty Prime to move on his own. This device is located at the Mass Fusion building, which we head straight for, obtaining the device and rushing out the door. Back at the airport, we give Liberty Prime the device, and he starts marching toward the CIT ruins that sit above the Institute. We were supposed to follow him all the way there, but we can actually fast travel to the ruins, speeding up the process. There, we witness a battle against the Brotherhood and hordes of synths, and Liberty Prime busts us away into the Institute. Inside, we swiftly clear out any and all synths in our way, until we reach the center of the Institute, where we kill more synths. Ingram then opens up access to the director's quarters that house Father, who we have a chat with.
Tell me then, under what righteous pretense have you justified this atrocity?
There's no other way. The Institute can't be trusted.
But the Brotherhood of Steel? They can? Well, none of it matters now, I suppose. You'll accomplish your task and ruin humanity's best hope for the future.
You know what Father's words reminded me of?
Everyone wants to save the world, they disagree on how.
With Father dead, we can access his terminal, overriding the security protocols and allowing us to enter the reactor area. We then kill more synths, place the bomb, and get the heck out of there. Finally, with one last glance toward the CIT ruins, we press the detonator's button, blowing up the Institute, finishing the game, and proving that, sure, you can beat Fallout 4 as Maximus. This playthrough was honestly a lot of fun. Just like with my Skyrim Fists Only video, I have never played Fallout 4 this way before, so it was a breath of fresh air for my enjoyment. If I could go back and redo this playthrough though, I would not have allowed myself to wear the suit of T-45 power armor in Concord, and instead would have gone armorless until obtaining my suit of T-60 power armor. I also would not have modified the classic 10mm pistol, so as to keep it as close to the show's version as possible, but you can't always be perfect. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have plans to release many more videos of this kind, so please keep an eye out for that. This has been Cobb, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching.